Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Raising Cane studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday. About half the work week in the rearview mirror. We're brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Jordan Kitchens, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Fired up. You are here with us. Lane Kiffin met with media yesterday. We'll talk about a little bit of that, specifically one aspect of LSU's defense that I haven't given a lot of thought to, but it was interesting that he spoke about it yesterday. I thought it was a good question. What if Wednesday coming at 30 minutes from right now? Dr. Jeremy Burnham will be with us at the bottom of the hour. Of course, the Achilles, the injury of the day here with LSU football. We'll talk about a few other things with Dr. Burnham to close things out. Koki Riley was at the box last night. He was in Oxford over the weekend. We'll talk to him about all that at 2 o'clock. Got some Saints discussion in the second hour. And of course, our SEC baseball power rankings as well. So let's lock it in. Crank it up like we do every day.
Welcome to the big league.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive. Presented by Fabry Chevrolet GMC in St. Francisville.
You know, beggars can't be choosers, people. They really can't. Beggars cannot be choosers. When you've lost 4 games in a row, you are begging for one. And when you trail twice in the early innings, you are begging for one. And when you allow the other team to put the tying run in scoring position late in the ball game, you are begging for one. So I don't get to choose which one I get. I just get this one, okay? LSU beats Northwestern State 4-2. Was it brilliant? No. Did they win? Yes. Were there some good things? Of course. Were there some concerns? Yeah, that too. So let's just kind of get into my thoughts about this game. I told you yesterday, look, I'm tired of getting behind. I'm tired of walking guys early. I would probably throw one of the older strike throwers at Northwestern State. I gave you a couple of names that were a little bit off the wall. Dax Dothie would not have been the most conventional choice to start the ball game yesterday. I understand that. But I felt like he would throw it over the plate, and I felt like he would give you a chance to throw a couple zeros up. I thought the same thing potentially about Connor Bench. I gave his name as well. He hadn't walked anybody all year. Maybe throw him out there. He's old. He might be able to get some outs. Jay Johnson took my little theory, my little silly working theory of, hey, let's get an older guy that might throw some balls over the plate instead of throwing Ricken or Paz or one. Well, he went with Zach Cowan. And so obviously looking at that decision, he was going, I'm sick of being behind 3-0 every Tuesday, being behind 4-1 every Tuesday, being behind 2-0 every Tuesday. It's every Tuesday with this team. And Jay Johnson said, we're not doing that. We're going with our guy. Cowan went out there in the first inning, got him up and down. Had a guy get on base, but no issues. Beautiful. Came out in the second. Well, gave up a single. Hard line drive, but right at the third baseman, double play. So you got 2 outs. Love it. And then you give up a home run to a guy with no career home runs. It just, they cannot get 6 outs without giving up a run or giving up a couple runs or giving up 3 runs or kicking it around or issuing a walk. This guy, Ray, has no power. His slugging percentage is in the 200s, which is almost impossible. I started looking up former Cubs pitchers that were terrible hitters, trying to find slugging percentages that low, and I found a couple. John Lester, Bartolo Colon's was lower than that. But famously bad hitting pitchers in Major League Baseball that have slugging percentages that low. Rays is that kind, but he got one up and drove it out of the ballpark. So you're trailing 1-0 after 2. But Grant Fontenot did a great job coming in after Cowan. He gets through 2 innings unscathed. And all fun, fair, and what is that saying? All fair, turnabout, and fair play. Something like that. If somebody does something, you can do it too. Northwestern hit a home run from a guy who never hits home runs. Braden Simpson did not have a home run this year. He drove one out of the ballpark as well. Now, he hit 20 last year, but he hadn't had one this year, and he knocked it out of the yard. So you're tied after 4 innings. And you go to the 5th, and Northwestern puts a little pressure on you. Reagan Ricken comes in. He gives up a single. Then he does what LSU's done all year, and he throws a pickoff throw away. Then there's a catcher's interference. Just a lot of charity there. They put a sack bunt down. They ground to shortstop, and now Northwestern's got another lead. They're second in the game. It's the fifth inning, and LSU's offense really hasn't done anything. I got cranky in the fifth inning when LSU came to bat because Simpson pops up, and they drop it. Just a cold drop on a pop-up. Stanfield flies out, but Curiel hits a missile through the right side, and that sends Simpson to third base. Now, you are trailing by one. It's the middle innings. You've got a senior on third and a guy that's about to be a first-round pick on first. The tying run is on third, and Cade Arambiti's up. And he hits a relatively soft one-hopper to the shortstop. And you have two options when you hit a ground ball in the infield and you got a runner at third base. You are either going on contact, go, or you are freezing to make the ball get through, or you are aware of where the infielders are and able to make a read when the ball hits the bat. Braden Simpson took none of these options. It was a floating line drive that bounced and went to the shortstop, and instead of going back to the bag, playing it safe and freezing, or taking off and going home, he just drifted towards home, staring at the shortstop. I don't know how that's possible. I really don't. I don't know how that's possible. These guys spend most of their waking time working on baseball. You have practices. You have a third base coach. It's not like this is super complicated stuff. I'm not asking a quarterback to read 11 guys on the defense. If it's a ground ball in the infield, you know what you're supposed to do. And even if you're not really sure, just go back to third. It's not a force. The only thing you really can't do is just get into no man's land and get yourself thrown out. And he did. This team does stuff like that all the time. And you might think I'm going to jump down Jake Brown's throat for getting thrown out at home in the eighth inning. I'm not. Jake Brown was hustling. The shortstop kicked the ball. There was some chaos. You had a lead, not trailing. Brown can fly. You made them make a play, and they threw you out. I don't love it, but I certainly don't hate it. I hate complete indecision on the base paths like what Braden Simpson had. You just can't do that. And Jay Johnson lamented it after the game. He was more frustrated than me. This is clearly not the way they're coached, and these guys just aren't doing the things they're supposed to do. Now, the good news is you didn't really pay for it because Jake Brown's awesome, and Jake Brown smashed it over the right field wall for a 3-run homer and gave you the lead. So it didn't really matter. But ultimately, if LSU is going to win some games in the second half of SEC play, you can't do garbage like that. You just can't. And it's easy. This is easy. It's just easy. It's easy to know what to do on third base. It's hard to hit 97 with a Snapdragon slider. It's hard to hit first-round future picks from the left side. Fielding ground balls can have its issues. It's hard to go to Athens and keep them in the ballpark. There are things that are hard. It is not hard to know what to do on third base. And Braden Simpson didn't know what to do. He just didn't know what to do. And I just can't accept that. Now, LSU looked to add on in the sixth. They loaded the bases for Curiel. He got a pitch up in the zone. I thought he put a decent swing on it, but he didn't hit it very good, and he flew out. So you spoil that. Marcos Paz comes in and was great in the seventh inning. 1, 2, 3. I've got a story up on LouisianaSports.net about Marcos Paz right now. He was awesome. They need to use him more. He was great in the seventh. Now, the eighth was more of this ridiculous LSU baseball that makes me want to scream. You've got a 2-run lead. You're playing Northwestern. Jay goes to Zion Theophilus. He walks the first guy on 5 pitches. The next guy hits a missile of a foul ball, and Jay Johnson goes, I've seen enough. He goes to Garcia. Garcia makes the pitch, gets the 2-pitch strikeout after the foul ball, but there's a wild pitch as well. So you've moved a runner into scoring position. Ground ball to third. John Pearson picks it up, throws wide to first base. Again, that's easy. Throwing the ball to first base is easy. You throw it away. Then you walk another pitch, another hitter after a wild pitch. 2 wild pitches, 2 walks, an error. It's just a comedy of disaster. So they've got the bases loaded, and you go to Sheeran. And Sheeran does what he's supposed to do. Gets the strikeout. Then he gets a pop-up that's foul. And this is what I thought, honest to God, when the ball went up, bases loaded, LSU's up 2 outs, 8th inning, ball goes sky high, and I saw Sheeran and Pearson and the catcher, who I'm not even sure who the catcher was at that point in the game, it doesn't matter. They were all in foul territory. And I, God as my witness, looked at the television screen and I went, at least if they drop it, it's foul. Like, that's my thought when this team is playing defense. And John Pearson caught a basket catch by his belt that almost popped out of his glove. But it wouldn't have mattered if he dropped it because it was foul. And they got out of the inning. And then Sheeran just overpowered him in the 9th and got done. And so that's good. It's good that they won. It's good that there were some really good pitching performances. I thought Callan was just fine. I thought that Fontenot was great. I thought that Benj was great. I thought that Paz was great. I thought that Williams was great. I thought that Sheeran was great. There were some really good things in the game. One issue that I had, I'll bring this up, and just in transparency, I'm not trying to hide anything here. Benj, I thought, looked awesome. He came in and got Ricken out of a problem. And then he went out and was throwing great. He was throwing 96, 97. He was throwing strikes. He got some strikeouts. And with the runner on, Jay Johnson went to Cooper Williams to face the lefty. And I sat there and looked at the screen and I said, I hate this. You have so many pitchers that have come in and just thrown up all over themselves. Cooper Williams often this year has come in to get a left-hander out and plunked him on the first pitch. It's a close game. You've got a guy you know is throwing the ball well. You're trying to find guys that throw the ball well. Why would you take him out in that situation? I didn't like it at all. And Cooper Williams came in and snapped off 3 breaking balls and struck the left-handed hitter out, just like he's supposed to do. So Jay did the right thing. Cooper Williams did well. I'm wrong, but it's the way I felt watching the game, and I'm not really here to hide. I'm here to comment on how the LSU baseball team plays, and I've seen enough bad pitching this year that when I see somebody that's pitching good, I want them to pitch good as long as they can pitch good. But Jay got it right, got the lefty in there, and got it done. The offense was not great. No two ways about it. You left 8 guys on base. The situational stats were not good. With runners on base, LSU was 3 for 17. That's a 176 average. With runners in scoring position, you were 2 for 10. That's a 200 average. But thankfully, your pitching held Northwestern to 0 for 11 with runners on and 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. LSU got the leadoff man on 6 times in 8 tries in this game and only came up with 4 runs. That's a little bit disappointing, especially considering that your runs all came on home runs. You weren't able to manufacture really anything. But I'm not here to be a chooser. I'm a beggar, and I was begging for a win, and LSU got a win on Tuesday night against Northwestern, avoided some more disaster. And oh, by the way, this doesn't help anything for LSU, but just a nugget for LSU fans that didn't notice this last night. Bethune-Cookman went to Gainesville last night, scored 13 runs, and won the game. They beat Florida. Florida's ranked in the top 5 in the country and has played great baseball, beating Georgia in a series. They're good. And Bethune-Cookman went over there and beat them. Bethune-Cookman is, I would say, an 80% chance to make the NCAA tournament. They're going to have to win their conference tournament, which is a complete crapshoot over the course of a week. But I would give them an 80% chance to do that. I think they're far and away the class of that conference. And they'll be a 4 seed, and they'll probably go 0-2. But I wouldn't be shocked at all to see them show up on a Sunday in a regional. They are legitimate. And that doesn't excuse LSU's loss in any way. You go out there and you beat Bethune-Cookman at the box. But just for a nugget for y'all, Bethune-Cookman did go on the road yesterday and beat Florida. So they beat SEC teams in back-to-back midweek games. They played played Miami to a really tight game earlier in the season. It was tied in the 6th inning. So they've got real players. They're a real team, and they scored 13 runs on Florida last night. LSU beats Northwestern 4-2. Now we'll move forward. All eyes on the Texas A&M Aggies coming up Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 6 o'clock Friday, 7 o'clock Saturday late game, and then an afternoon tilt on Sunday. So that's a look at LSU baseball here on this Wednesday. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. They're online at builtbyrenaissance.com. We will take time out. We will come back. Lane Kiffin was asked a good question yesterday about an aspect of his defense that I had not considered. Let's talk about it.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Go take a tour at Marucci. Marucci, founded by a pair of former big leaguers. You would expect them to dabble in the inner workings of baseball, and they're a trainer. And they said, let's make a bat, and it was pretty good. And they said, let's make some more bats, and they were pretty good. And people started swinging the bats. People liked the bats. Fast forward 22 years, the official bat of Major League Baseball. You want to know where 1,200 of those are made every day? Go to Marucci, take a tour. You want to learn the story over 2 decades of how Marucci went from a backyard in Baton Rouge to a global brand? You can do that by taking the tour. You find the tickets at maruccisports.com/campus-tour. A reminder, as every day, every ticket to the tour comes with a 20% discount in the Campus Tour store and in the Hitter's House. So check them out online at maruccisports.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
The weather's heating up. Pool season's upon us, but that doesn't mean it's a bad time to call Renaissance Homes and Pools. In fact, it's a great time to text the owner, Joey Blanchard, say, hey, let's talk about getting that pool figured out. You text him at 225-252-7745. They can get you in that pool while it's still really hot outside, because that's going to be the case around here until what? Mid-October, right? You're talking about April right now. So give Joey a call or text him at 225-252-7745. He's with you every step of the way. That's the beauty of working with a local company like Renaissance Homes and Pools. He's there for the consultation. He's there for the design. Whether you know what you're looking for or you have no idea, you just would like a pool, he can help you with that discussion. He's there when they design it. He's there when you dig it, when you fill it, when you finish it. Joey's there every single step of the way. That's the difference between working with some companies and working with a local company like Renaissance Homes and Pools. If you're looking for an outdoor kitchen, they can do it at Renaissance Homes and Pools. If you're looking to build your forever home, they can do it at Renaissance Homes and Pools. 225-252-7745 is Joey Blanchard's cell number. He's the owner of the company. He can help you out with it. Renaissance Homes and Pools, online at builtbyrenaissance.com. All right, a good question, I thought, from Blake Ruffino in the media yesterday to Lane Kiffin about one aspect of this LSU defense that obviously I was aware of because I'm aware of all the starters on the defense, but I had not thought about it a ton as we've looked at everything. I've spent more of my time paying attention to the functionality of the offense. I spent a lot of time watching Blake Baker bounce back and forth between different position groups. I'm looking at the young players on the defensive line. I've kind of felt as though the secondary looked pretty stable, and I haven't spent a lot of time watching them because, like, I know what DJ Pickett looks like. I know what PJ Woodland looks like. I feel like I got a pretty good handle for what DeMarcus Cooley is going to do. I've seen Deshaun Spears play. Ty Benefield is new, and you see him the first couple of days, but like he looks like a really good player and a guy that I don't have to spend a lot of time watching to figure that out. But something that Blake asked about was, hey, like, you got a lot of size back there. And that's true. Like, you don't find 6'5" corners. DJ Pickett is a unicorn, but he is a 6'5" corner. And then you look into the secondary, into the safety position, and Deshaun Spears is tall. He is 6'3" and like all of that. He might be 6'4". He's big. And Ty Benefield is long and rangy. Now, PJ Woodland's not the biggest guy around, no. But you've got guys back there with really long arms, rangy strides that can cover a lot of ground. And Lane Kiffin talked about kind of that group with that skill set yesterday.
They're really, really long, and they have really good ball skills. I always joke, sometimes guys will lead the team or the conference in pass breakups. That just means they have bad hands because they're dropping the ball, dropping interceptions. These guys have really good ball skills. Really, you think about all 5 of them, if you count Sean and Nichols, so there's really 5. And because of their length, and then they make the plays on the ball. That's why you see high interception numbers. So that's been awesome. Obviously, that's great to have. I remember Colin Coward used to talk about length in basketball all the time and the transition into football. There's a lot of things to your length in defensive play in football and in college football because you have so many perimeter plays with the hash marks that guys got to take on and play. And that's part of the struggles offensively is because these guys are so good at taking those plays away.
You just erase space more quickly if you're rangy. And that's very true. Obviously, when you shrink things down to a basketball court, you understand your length in a zone defense can take up like the entire floor. You can't do that on a 53-yard wide football field, but your length is important, playing the ball in 50-50 balls, obviously. And I think the range of these guys' strides, because not only are they long, but they're fast, they can run. And we talked to DJ Pickett last week, and he was talking about how people say he's got bad hands, but like he was a high school receiver. He had over 1,000 yards in high school receiving. He's played receiver really his entire life. He does have the ability to go up and play the ball. He did that a couple times last year. When I think about length, I think about the play that DJ Pickett made in the fourth quarter against Florida last year. Florida was in a little bit of desperation mode. Lagway was seeing ghosts in a big way. He'd already thrown, I think, 4 interceptions. And he winged it out wide to the right sideline as Florida was moving toward the south end zone. And Pickett came flying up the sideline, up the field, full stride, full extension, and caught it going the other way. That's length. It's the ability to use your long legs to stride across the field. It's the ability to high point the ball above potential wide receivers. DJ Pickett is one of the few cornerbacks in all of football, not just college, the NFL, all of football, that is got a height advantage on most of the guys that are across the line of scrimmage from him. It gives you length at the line of scrimmage. If you want to jam guys, you can get your hands on them before they get their hands on you because your arms are longer. It's just a boxing trick. And I was thinking about cornerback yesterday when we were going through the Aiden Anding situation, and unfortunately he's going to miss the entirety of the season. And I was thinking about how LSU was going to line up coverages, and you look at this, like, yeah, Pickett's going to be on one side, Woodland's going to be on the other side. You'll have Cooley playing deep. You'll also have Ty Benefield playing safety, and as Lane Kiffin just mentioned, Deshaun Spears is going to help you in coverage at the nickel spot. And Deshaun Spears played limited snaps last year. He was not a full-time player. You had A.J. Halsey back there. You had Tamarcus Cooley back there. You were stacked at cornerback as well. And Spears, at times, struggled to get to the field. He played a lot in the nickel, and he was always on the field on the dime roll. And that was really it for him. But his coverage grades on Pro Football Focus are really, really good. Now, sure, he had 2 interceptions in the game against Florida, and that certainly helps when you have limited time and you go out there and make 2 plays and take the ball back the other way for one of them for a pick 6. Like, yeah, your grades are going to be really good, but he's a good cover player. And so while that spot generally in the nickel is reserved for a corner, if you feel good enough with 6'2", 6'3" Deshaun Spears to go down there and cover, well, that's another added piece of length to that secondary. And they are going to be long and they are going to be rangy. And I'll say this, as I evaluate LSU secondary play, specifically at corner and in the nickel spot every single year, that's going to be one that I generally give the benefit of the doubt to. That doesn't mean your secondary is going to be awesome every year. But with Corey back there, like, I just am going to default to that's going to be pretty good. And I think that he looks for characteristics in his players. And not that he was instrumental in recruiting Ty Benefield or instrumental in recruiting Deshaun Spears or Tamarcus Cooley, but he certainly was with DJ Pickett. And he certainly was with Jakeem Jackson, who's pretty rangy. And this is the profile of cover guys that he generally wants. Mansour Delane measured in at 5'11" at the combine. Put a pair of spikes on, you're 6 feet tall, right? He likes guys that have long arms and are rangy. And you've got that on this team. So this is not the time of year to prognosticate wins and losses, not the time of year to make sweeping generalizations and judgments. This is optimism time. This is positivity time. Anything that's not an injury can be considered a positive depending on what side of the ball you're pulling for in a scrimmage. But inarguably, objectively, LSU's secondary is very, very tall, very, very long, and very, very athletic. And that's part of the battle. Now you've got to put them in a scheme. Now you've got to teach them technique and the ability to execute, play in and play out. And it doesn't hurt if you can get some pressure on the passer while you're at it. But I thought an interesting question yesterday, an interesting answer from something that I was certainly aware of. I was aware LSU had some tall guys. I didn't give it any thought. I'm looking at other things because that secondary group kind of looks put together to me. I don't know as much about the offensive line, especially left guard. I don't know as much about the defensive front, especially at the tackle spots. I don't know about how well LSU is going to rush the passer. I don't know who the punter is going to be. There are a lot of question marks around this team that I'm looking for at practice in our 15, 20 minutes every day. Secondary just hasn't gotten a lot of my time. I took some time on it yesterday and into this morning, and I feel pretty good about that, especially when you consider the body types of the guys that they've brought in. That's a very, very, very good thing for LSU. All right, we're moving along here on our Wednesday shows brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. We will step aside, come back, play a little What If Wednesday. That is next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Lifetime Roofing, lifetimeroofingla.com, lifetimeroofingla.com. Their core values over at Lifetime Roofing: customer service, quality, and integrity. So important when you talk about the roofing industry. There are a lot of options to get a new roof, right? In fact, some that come in when they see an opportunity if there's a weather event. That's why you've got to trust somebody that's got integrity. It's going to be here for the right reasons. Lifetime Roofing is a company that's owned and operated by local South Louisiana and Baton Rouge area natives. They've got integrity. They're here to help the community. Quality, of course. You're going to get great quality of work. They back it with a lifetime workmanship warranty. You know you're getting great quality. And then the customer service. Again, it's about service for the folks at Lifetime Roofing, making sure they're a part of this community and understanding that, yeah, sometimes you're just selling a roof and you got to do a great job with that. But oftentimes roofing companies are intervening in a time of crisis, and they understand that customer service is paramount in that way. So if it's time for you to get a new roof, or when the time comes for a new roof or a roof inspection or roof repair, Lifetime Roofing. Find them online at lifetimeroofingla.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
We are always brought to you by our friends at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. They bring you our opening drive every single day, and they can get you on a new opening drive here as we're now inching toward the halfway mark in 2026. If that lease is about to expire or you're just looking for a new ride, Fabry Chevrolet GMC is certainly happy to have you. Maybe you're thinking about getting that high school grad in your life or college grad in your life a new ride for the next adventure, whether that's college or the professional world. If you're thinking about doing that, check out Fabry Chevrolet GMC. The entire inventory is online at fabrychevrolet.com. They've got all the SUVs you could want, the Chevy Tahoes and Chevy Tahoes and Suburbans. Of course, on the truck side, they got the Silverados as well. The GMCs, they got the Sierras, they got the Yukons. They're all online, and they're all there on Highway 61 in St. Francisville. So if you're looking for an awesome deal, 5 figures off of Silverados and Sierras. If you're looking for a great deal, just make that short drive up to St. Francisville on Highway 61. It's Fabry Chevrolet GMC. They're online at fabrychevrolet.com. Obviously, Aiden Anding, really tough break earlier this week. Well, I should say back over the weekend on Saturday, tore the Achilles. We'll talk a little bit about that with our friend Dr. Jeremy Burnham from Auctioner. We'll get to that in our next segment. Koki Riley's here in 35 minutes talking LSU baseball. SEC baseball power rankings coming your way in 1 hour. There have been so many interesting happenings. Texas lost every game over the weekend. Georgia's dropped a series. Ole Miss is creeping back into it. They sweep LSU. What's going on with Mississippi State? They got swept. There's a lot going into that. So in 55 minutes or so, we'll get to my power rankings. But for right now, it is What If Wednesday.
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question, what if?
All right, so what if Connor Griffin somehow made it to campus? Does Stephen Milam still get a chance to become the best shortstop in LSU history, or does he stay at second base?
It's interesting. Griffin can play anywhere.
Yeah.
And he would have been on the team last year, not this year. So he would have probably played.
Yeah, who job he would have took?
I mean, I guess what you would have had was you would have had either Griffin at third or short and Milam at the other spot is what they would have probably done. I find it hard to believe that Griffin is a better defender than Milam. He could be. He's a better athlete, but I mean, I don't know how you could be a lot better than Stephen Milam has been at LSU this year, and he made 5 errors last year. So if you could shore up third base where you couldn't hit it all last year, and Braswell was out there making defensive plays, like that's probably a better spot for Griffin. It's a power profile. I honestly haven't looked at where he's playing for the Pirates.
I thought he was in the outfield.
Yeah, he can. I mean, he played high school shortstop, but he certainly can play outfield. Let me see. I'll I'll look because the Cubs actually played the Pirates this weekend, but I wasn't.
Man,
I was
Hunt, the
watching a
Pirates
bunch of
looking
other
kind of nasty right now.
stuff. The Pirates are not looking nasty. I can promise you that.
All right, let's see.
But you can get to the next one, and I'll check this out. But
Okay.
I think he probably would have played third base.
All right, so what if we got Lang in Game 3 in 2017?
If you get to Lang in Game 3 of 2017, for those that aren't aware, if LSU would have won either of the first 2 games in the championship series, Alex Lang would have been ready to pitch Game 3. Alex Faedo for Florida would have only been on 2 days rest. LSU would have been a prohibitive favorite because if you remember, that was not a prolific Florida offense. That was not actually one of Kevin O'Sullivan's best teams. He had a really good 1-2 punch with Faedo and Singer at the top of the rotation, but LSU would have been in a very, very good spot with Alex Lang on the mound. They would have been a favorite to win Game 3 should the series have gotten that far, but it didn't. So credit to them. Connor Griffin's playing shortstop for the Pirates. So if you can play shortstop for the Pirates, you can play shortstop for LSU. I'll kick Stephen Milam over to third base. That's the most sensible option. I honestly didn't know where he was playing, but yeah, if you can play shortstop in the big leagues, you can play it for LSU. So I'm not gonna try to. Oh, Stephen Milam's only made 6 errors in 2 years. You can play it in the big leagues. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt.
All right, so what if you were invited to the Live Golf's reported emergency meeting today in New York?
You want me to answer that sincerely, or do you want me to have fun with that?
I kind of want you to have fun for take it or leave it with this one. Like this a take it or leave it.
All right. If I was invited, I'll take it seriously. If I was invited, which for no reason I couldn't be, I would keep my mouth shut and I would just listen.
Okay.
And I honestly, if we're being honest, I would probably take out my cell phone and just record the whole thing so that I could have that, and then I would listen to it on the flight home. Because
would you sell that footage?
Hearing these people crawl in a hole and quit is going to be wonderful. I'm not even remotely naive enough or willing to sit here and like pontificate about how I would tell them all they were stupid and laugh in their face. These are billionaires with, oh, by the way, horrendous human rights records. So I'm not exactly limitless resources and not good dudes. Probably not going to get up there and laugh in their face. I'm not that
relax.
dumb.
Yeah.
I'm not that stupid, but I would be feeling it all the way on the inside. All the way on the inside.
So like, how would your day go? You know, you wake up smiling, like you're waking up smiling. You know, you might get some breakfast. You just can't stop smiling.
I got bagels up there in Manhattan.
Okay.
You know what I might do? I might go and just go to Cat's Deli and just get a huge, big old sandwich for breakfast. How about that?
Just pig out.
Head on into the boardroom and hear what old Yasser has to say about his complete failure of a golf tour. How about that?
Oh, sounds like a great morning to me. So,
sounds like a wonderful morning.
What if the Saints trade down in the draft? Will it snow in April?
I think it will.
Yeah, I'm about to say, with pigs
New
flying.
Orleans. That's just not going to happen. I got asked this question on New Orleans radio on Saturday when I went on.
Okay.
They said, is there a spot where maybe if somebody's a little bit desperate, you feel like you're looking receiver and there's like 3 more on the board, that you move back 3 or 4 spots? And I said, I'm not making this up. This is not conjecture or speculation. Like literally on the record, Mickey Loomis said, if you trade back, you get a worse player. He said that on the board. Now, what he fails to continue to add on to that is, if you want to say if you trade back, you get a quote unquote worse player, what is also inarguable is you get more players.
Yep.
So that's really the point. You get more chances to get an impact player. No one's arguing that there are better players in the 3rd round than there are the 2nd round. There, of course, are, but it's not you would take them in the 2nd round if you felt that way immediately. The question is, can you trade back and get more value for the 1 spot? But no, the Saints will not do that because Mickey has already said you get worse players. So that's not going to happen.
And also, man, like that's just something Mickey doesn't do. Mickey's a gambler. He wants to move up. If anything, if you ask him right now, if there was a scenario where he wants to trade up, he probably would. Now, I doubt the whole war room in there saying to trade up. But if it's up to Mickey Loomis, he's definitely giving up picks. It's just in his blood. So
let me talk about a couple of comments in the Bayou Ford chat.
Okay.
Milam isn't the best shortstop in LSU history. He's not even in the top 5. That's correct overall. That's correct. Defensively, he's the best I've ever seen. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about defense here. We already know these 2 guys are in the lineup. Where are they going to play? And then there's the thought at Milam playing second with Griffin at shortstop. Dickinson's your second baseman because Milam's a better defender than Dickinson. Dickinson was very, very good at second base. I don't know what he would have looked like at third base. They tried that a little bit in the fall last year. I don't even know really how it went. But Milam's hands are plenty good enough and his arm's good enough to play third base. So I think if Griffin came, it'd be Milam at third, Griffin at short, and Dickinson at second. And that would have been
Sounds nasty.
That would have been quite good. You would have turned, because at the end of the season, you had Michael Braswell hitting like a $180 at third base.
Yeah.
You'd have had Connor Griffin, who in a college season, if I'm looking at his AAA stats, in a college season probably would have hit 405 with 15, 18 homers.
Oh my goodness.
You would have turned your worst spot in the lineup offensively into your best spot in the lineup offensively. So that would have been good. Team would have been pretty good.
405, my goodness. All right, well,
And
that.
Cruz hit 426. So
Ooh.
he was a third-year player, and he's now in AAA. But he hit a home run today off of Trey Savage, who's coming back.
For the Jays, huh?
Yeah, pitched in the World Series last year. He's on a rehab assignment in AAA. So Cruz saw him and hit him out to right center field, which I saw.
Love to see that. So that's it for What If Wednesday.
All right, that's it for What If Wednesday. They're going through some really good LSU shortstops. Russ Johnson, very good. Austin Nola, very good. Ryan Theriot, my guy. Huge help to the station and my first favorite LSU baseball player. Not as good a defender as Stephen Milam, though. Way better hitter. Awesome hitter. National champion, like Stephen Milam. But defense, I like Milam. All right, Jordan Thompson, the GOAT. Maybe national champion. I love Jordan Thompson. Great Omaha story. Don't know if he's the GOAT, but appreciate y'all for interacting with us here in the Bayou Ford chat and for being here on a Wednesday show. Let me remind you about Swing Easy Golf Club before we get to for our auctioneer segment. Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge, swingeasygcbr.com. They've got memberships available. If you're interested in becoming a member, which gives you some perks in terms of bay reservations and hours early in the month, you can certainly do that. If you want a corporate membership so that your entire organization is allowed those privileges and you can entertain clients, whether it's a great Saturday up there or right a lunchtime you go over and hit some golf balls, or maybe a happy hour that you can do at Swing Easy Golf Club. Our sales team did that last week and had a blast over there. So look into some membership options at Swing Easy Golf Club. They're on Segan at Perkins, swingeasygcbr.com on the website. They're again Segan at Perkins, Swing Easy Golf Club, swingeasygcbr.com. Don't read and try to do an ad read, folks. Don't read on your computer and try to just do an ad read from memory. Appreciate them for being a part of every single show that we do. We'll come back and chat with our guy, Dr. Jeremy Burnham from Oxford. That is next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Boudreaux's Electrical Services. If you've had a Generac home standby generator installed at your home and you've never heard from the manufacturer or the big box store that sold it from you ever again, and you don't have anyone monitoring it and you're not really sure who to call for maintenance, you can get the Boudreaux's boost. Call them at Boudreaux's Electrical. Just because you didn't buy your Generac home standby generator from them doesn't mean they can't help. In fact, they want to help. So you can become part of their club, and they'll come out and make sure that everything's running smoothly so that when you need that generator to spring into action to power your home, they're ready to do it. Same thing goes for your business. If you want to make sure that your business doesn't lose power, Boudreaux's Electrical Services can do that, and they can help monitor and maintain, do the maintenance on your Generac home standby generator. So give them a call, 985-397-1562, 985-397-1562, or 225-9300-9389, 225-300-9389. That's Boudreaux's Electrical Services.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Wrapping up hour number 2 here. No, that's hour number 1. Wrapping up hour number 1. Wrapping up hour number 2 would be nice. That'd be the end of the show, but we still got an hour of fun to have here on the Hunt Palmer Show on a Wednesday. We're brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Time now for Sports Health, presented by Oxner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. We welcome in Dr. Jeremy Burnham. Dr. Burnham, how are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing great, hon. I'm looking forward to the next hour. I'm glad you still have an hour left.
So am I. I got some baseball to talk. We got some Saints to talk, power rankings, so we'll have some fun there. But I'm excited to talk to you. I know y'all are out at Central High School this afternoon doing physicals. How are the good people of Central these days?
Hey, they're doing fantastic. You know, they've had a lot of success, multiple sports over there. Such an impressive program, impressive school. We're happy to be out there in the community. And this is something we do every year. We do physicals around the community, just screening athletes, making sure that they're healthy to start that upcoming summer and fall season. So everything's going great out there.
It's good to hear. I'm curious about Achilles injuries. Obviously, the news of the week was that LSU lost defensive back Aiden Anding to a season-ending Achilles injury, as Lane Kiffin framed it earlier this week. It sounds like that's a pretty grueling rehabilitation deal. What can you tell us about that specific injury? Not Aiden's, as we speak in specifics, but just the Achilles injury as a whole.
Achilles injuries, and this is kind of, you've probably heard this with some other injuries that we talk about on the show, but Achilles injuries are one of the injuries that we're really seeing more and more of.
Yeah.
And younger and younger. I think historically we would hear about them a lot in somebody that was 40 to 60 years of age. But now we're seeing that the average age actually in the NBA for a torn Achilles is 30 years old. So we've seen that trend change. You know, your Achilles is where your calf connects to your heel bone. That's all of your push-off strength, your jumping. It helps to control when you're landing. It's a really important tendon in the body. You know, when people have these injuries, a lot of times, especially in like a professional or collegiate athlete, that patient is getting surgery. There are some really good non-surgical treatment options for Achilles injuries in most people, but I think if your job and your career depends on your push-off strength, that most time that's getting fixed. You're looking usually 6 to 12 months of recovery, so it's not an overnight thing. Aaron Rodgers, everybody probably remembers he came back, you know, really early from that, but there's some downsides to doing that as well. And even when people get back in the NBA specifically, because we see so many of them there, but people get back at that 6 to 12 month range. It sometimes takes 2 years to really get back to the same level of play that they were before.
Man, I know that every case is different, but I'm just curious when you say that you're seeing more of those in younger people, is it just a bigger, faster, stronger? The humans and athletes are bigger and faster, stronger than they've ever been, and the body sometimes has trouble keeping up with that?
It's probably a combo of that. That certainly plays a role, and as you know, you know what people are doing athletically now is different than what people were doing even 10, 20 years ago. Some of it probably has to do with year-round sports. I know that's kind of a theme that we talk about a lot, but there's definitely some theories that attritional wear over time from doing the same type of movement over and over and over may play a role in that. Tendons respond really well to load, the right kind of load that triggers the tendon to kind of keep regenerating itself. But we've learned that if the tendon experiences the same exact movement or the same exact load over and over and over, that it will sometimes wear down that tendon. And then maybe it's a weakened tendon, and then it just takes just the right injury for it to pop.
I'm curious, and I realize that you're not a coach, and you're not, your job is not to get teams ready to play, but you certainly have experience on the football field. Lane Kiffin spoke earlier this week about how they're not going to practice to tackle it all during the spring. They're trying to keep guys healthy. I understand that. What's your kind of view as a doctor and somebody who spent a lot of time on the football field, and the balance that coaches have to weigh with players that now cost a lot of money, as well as trying to get them ready to go?
Yeah, I think it's a very difficult job. You know, I love to see all of the advancements and people like Lane Kiffin and other coaches at LSU and elsewhere using science to kind of determine and data to determine what they do. There's really a lot that goes into how many minutes they put into practice, which periods they do, how much individual they do versus team, how much contact versus non-contact. And I think it's a lot better than, you know, maybe what happened in the old days when you just went out there and practiced as much as you possibly could. A lot of data that they look at from a recovery standpoint, sleep, you know, nutrition optimization. And so it's really become a very high level thing to decide how much you practice and how much you recover and how much you rest. It just goes to show you, though, if you are going to play sports, you know, and I tell patients this too, you can get hurt doing anything. It's all about trying to stack the deck in your favor and optimize everything, but you can't prevent every single injury that's happening.
Obviously, but you can certainly check athletes out, as y'all are doing in Central today, and y'all are doing a lot of this time of year. You mentioned to me earlier today mass physicals for high schoolers Saturday, May 16th, 8 to 2 o'clock at Elite. What can you tell us?
Yeah, that's right. So we try to have an opportunity. We go to some of the schools that we work with, and we also do a mass physicals day, 8 to 2 o'clock, May 16th. That's a Saturday. We're going to do it at Elite, right at the corner of Burbank and Lee. We bring in our whole team. We accommodate several hundred athletes throughout the day. You know, you can come there. It's free. You can come there without an appointment. If you need to get a physical, we're there for you. So everybody put that on their calendars. We'll have our whole team of athletic trainers, our physical therapists help with that, PAs, nurse practitioners, doctors. We'll have the whole group out there. And really trying to, you know, just make that easy for parents to get their kids with the right paperwork and the right physical screening.
Can't be any easier, as he mentioned. If you heard that and went, I missed the date, we got it for you one more time. Saturday, May the 16th, so coming up in 1 month, 8-2 at Elite over on Burbank. You can walk up. It is free. Don't need an appointment and get that high school athlete in your family checked out with a physical. Dr. Burnham, thanks so much. Keep up the good work out there in Central, and we'll talk in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely. Have a great hour too, hon.
We'll do it. We will do it. That's Dr. Jeremy Burnham over with Ochsner. That's man, I can so rarely speak to the sports that we cover, right? Like Hester and Flynn can talk about college football and the NFL from a literal firsthand experience. They can do it. I can't do that with almost anything we do. Like really almost anything. The one thing you would think I might be able to talk about is like, did you ever get hurt? Because like you've covered a lot of guys that get hurt. I never really got hurt either. I sprained my ankle one time. And so I have no perspective on like significant rehabs and any of that either. But it just sounds like this Achilles deal for Aiden Anning is going to be one that is going to take a lot of effort. And that's just, it's a bummer. I'm bummed out for him. And this is going to be his year to kind of break out and be a real part of the secondary. And we talked about this last week because it was the story of the week last week. But like Abe Relaford just did a whole fall of rehab. Got hurt in the first month of the season. Whole fall of rehab, come back, second workout, boom. Obviously, you have that injury. He's going to miss potentially and probably the entire season. Like as much of a grind as the physical rehabilitation is, what that does to you mentally is tough as well. So just thinking about those guys as they are going to have a long rest of 2026, trying to get back to playing some of their best football. Hopefully next spring and then back into the following fall in 2027. But always appreciate Dr. Burnham's perspective and the good people at Ochsner for giving us a little bit of their time on Wednesdays. That's it for hour number 1. Hour number 2 is coming at you. Koki Riley will be here in 5 minutes. SEC Power Rankings coming up in 35 minutes plus. A little bit of Saints talk as well. We'll pause for Sports Center. Come back with hour 2. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
GoTro's Outdoor Power. GoTro's Outdoor Power. That grass is growing, and you got to get it cut. So if you need to maintain your property and you're looking for a zero-turn mower to do that, well, you need to check out the folks at GoTro's Outdoor Power. Family-owned and operated for 22 years. 2 locations, Baton Rouge on Airline Highway and, of course, in Gonzales as well. When I say family-owned and operated, you might think small. Don't. It's just not true. They're the largest parts inventory in the state of Louisiana. They're the largest Hustler inventory in the state of Louisiana. And they were the National Hustler Dealer of the Year 2 of the last 3 years. They know what they're doing at GoTro's Outdoor Power. So if you're looking to get behind the wheel of a zero-turn mower, you want some financing on that, you can get behind the wheel for $100 a month. That's an incredible deal. So go by and see them. 2 locations, Airline Highway in Baton Rouge and in Gonzales. I always give you the website as well. It's GoTrosOnline.com. It's GoTro's Outdoor Power. Find them online at GoTrosOnline.com.